Hello there. Welcome to A Can of Worms. Very happy to have you here. Um, Today, I want to talk about a subject that when I was in the University of Stockton, they only had one or two paragraphs, and I took many psychology courses, and there just wasn't much known about it, other than they put narcissism into the category of a cluster B syndrome. Um, I'm going to reference this book, Christiane Northrup. She speaks very highly intelligently of it, and she believes that it's mainly light workers, the people that are empathetic, that attract these energy vampires. Now, how does that dynamic work? Well, they have a hard time creating energy within themselves by themselves. So what they do is they find people to emit good positive energy, people that emit it, and they kind of feed off of it. They kind of do certain things to elicit reactions. Now, first is called the golden period, according to H.G. Tudor. That's Tudor is in the English family, Tudor. H.G. Tudor, not his real name. He wants to stay anonymous because he says that as a self-proclaimed narcissist, he wants to be able to do his thing freely without people getting suspicious of what he's doing. Charming. Actually, he is charming, extremely so. And his voice is real deep and beautiful. And his accent, British accent, upper crust British accent, is very easy to listen to. So he really helped me a lot to understand what the narcissist is thinking. Christiane is an empath. She's a light worker. So she's the other side of the spectrum. And I believe I'm an empath and a light worker. Come to believe that I came here for a reason at this time. And I think everybody that's here right now came here for a reason, to help. Now, obviously, you could argue that the narcissist, sociopath, or any of those cluster B, they didn't come here to help. They're just feeding their own desires. They don't care. But I would say that that's true as far as they're aware. They're not aware of spiritual things. They don't feel shame or sad if they hurt somebody. They hurt people to get a reaction, to get what some call loosh, to get energy. They feed off that. Unfortunately, there's more narcissists here on earth probably than there ever were before. In a way, society creates them. According to H.G. Tudor, one way that society creates them is that it takes two things to make a narcissist: a genetic predisposition and chaotic childhood. Now, what certain factions of the elites of our society have been trying to do is break down the family. That creates more chaos. The more chaos, the more chances that and the genetic disposition will come together to create the narcissist. Some examples of chaotic childhood would be neglect. It could be outright abuse. It could be moving around a lot. That's chaotic. Moving around a lot when you're an adult is different than moving around a lot when you're a child. You have to leave your old friends, make new friends. Excuse me, that's my phone. And also, sorry about that, not only my phone, but the little circle started going around. So might have missed some of that. Yeah, so examples of chaotic childhood could also be moving around a lot because you're leaving your friends, you're having to make new friends. If you're shy, that's especially difficult. Johnny Depp moved around a lot when he was a child. And well, I'm not saying he was a narcissist because I don't believe he is. Everyone has a certain amount of narcissistic traits, but it's different from being a narcissist. Johnny Depp attracted a person that I believe is a narcissist and married her when he had a really good relationship with someone else, Vanessa. I'm not French, or D, for 14 years and 2 children. But narcissists often rush people into marriage very quickly. That happened to me. They want to tie you down and get you dependent on them so that basically you won't leave no matter the abuse that you're taking until they want you to leave. It's all about control, man. All about control. So what they do at first to get you to marry them quickly is called love bombing. It's the golden period according to H.G. Tudor. Love bombing. And it's just basically what it sounds like. Dinners, gifts, expressions of love, get in the sack as early as possible. Then after that golden period ends, which could be, it varies with each person, obviously, months to a couple of years, but probably not more than that. Look at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. They got married very quickly. He's now in the devaluation period. I'm going to talk about that. That's after the golden period. And to keep the person there, they will revisit the golden period every now and then. Then you think, and this happened to me too, you think, oh, they've changed, it's over now, this is going to be the last of that nonsense. Well, again, because the devaluation period comes back again. And it gets worse and worse each time and longer. And meanwhile, the whole time, they're probably looking for someone to replace you. And they do what's H.G. Tudor again. They put you on the shelf and they pick you up when they want you. Put you back on the shelf, and so on like that. I tried to do an interview with him. It would have been fantastic, but I just didn't have this channel up and ready at the time. And he had said yes before I was ready, and that was my bad. I don't blame him for being a little annoyed. But I'd like to try again. So anyway, then the discard. Now, let me go just back a minute to the devaluation. There's a couple of tricks that are going to be used. One of them is gaslighting. Now, there was a movie long ago, the early part of this century, starring Ingrid Bergman. It's called Gaslight. And basically the plot was that she inherited a lot of money from her aunt and a house, beautiful house. This is back in the times. Well, the movie was made in the early, I don't know, 1940s, 1930s maybe. But it took place back in a period where they had gas lights. So anyway, she inherited this money and she decided to travel around the world. She lands in Italy and meets this very charming gentleman who sweeps her off her feet, and they get married and they go back to her home. I think it was in Philadelphia. I wouldn't swear by it. They go back to her home, and he is plotting to get her money, basically, which happens a lot with narcissists. They use you. If you happen to have money, if you happen to have status, like Johnny Depp, if you happen to have character traits, as H.G. Tudor would say, because they don't they take other people's character traits and imitate them. They're really like, in a way, empty husks. They don't feel emotion. So anyway, they get back to her home, and he wants her to think that she's going crazy. So he goes up in the attic and he lowers the gas lights. And she says something about it. She goes, "There's something wrong with the gas lights." He goes, "You're crazy. There's nothing wrong with the gas lights. Nothing at all. I didn't see anything. You're imagining it." And then, this goes on and on. And she really does start to think that she's losing her mind. And she gets very scared. Well, luckily for her, a detective he's from Italy, but he was searching for her husband because of other crimes he had committed. And this private detective quickly realized what was going on and actually told her and confronted it. And I don't remember he killed him or not. Please tell me in the comments below if you don't mind. Thank you. And so, yeah, and then the detective and her get married. So he must have died or something. And they live happily ever after. But that's what gaslighting is. Here's an example. The narcissist and the empath are having a vicious argument. He kicks in the door, even though it's unlocked, and sits there waiting for a reaction. Well, if the empath is used to this kind of behavior, they'll just kind of sit like this. Really? If they're not, they're going to be scared to death. So then the narcissist goes to work, but knowing that the empath is at work, comes home early, fixes the door where it wasn't the door itself, it was the molding. Fixes it and then tells her she's crazy. He never kicked it in. Imagining it. Real life example. Okay? But the empath used to this behavior took pictures. It didn't confront. But used it as evidence. That's something that, the best thing to do is leave. But sometimes there's children involved. And some parents think that, and rightfully so, can understand this, that shared custody would be very bad for the children. That staying with the children and kind of protecting them, actually mitigating the situation, would be the best way to go. I hear with that. Another reason is money, not being able to financially support oneself or not making enough. It's not through lack of effort, by no means, most of the time. And then again, there could be children. I know people have run clear across country to get away. Sometimes the narcissist still tracks them down because they didn't discard. The woman had or the man had the audacity to just leave on their own without permission. Anyway, so then we have the discard. I mentioned that earlier. That's when they escalate the abuse, and then all of a sudden they have someone else in the wings and keep telling them how much better they are than you. It's just abuse, any kind of horrible thing to justify it to their friends and all. They might have cheated and they'll tell their friends, "You did." Completely twist things around. They get the opposite. They project. It's called projection. So here we go. There's a lot more to this subject. It could be video after video after video. Now, a lot of experts say that codependency enters into the narcissistic relationship. That's very possible. See, when a person is codependent, they tend to take on the beliefs and the personality of the person that they're with. They don't have what could be called a frame around them. They boil it. They bleed out. This is what the narcissist, feeds off of a lot of times too. They, the codependent has been injured too, and they've just learned to cope in another way. They probably don't have the genetics for narcissism, so they have wounds, and they think that another person can actually heal them when they can only heal themselves. Now, the narcissist comes across very, like I said, charming, knowledgeable. Part of the time he's lying about it, or he's just copying what someone else's knowledge is, just spitting it out, regurgitating it. But in any case, this is a very serious dynamic. A lot of people are in the middle of this kind of dynamic. In a way, our country is being led by narcissists. I'm sure you can see this. There's a lot of those same projections going on. One party will say the other party is doing what they're doing, for example. Yeah, I'm sure you could think of a lot of examples for that going on right now. I want to get deep into what this country and the world is doing to us. The people in charge lack emotional empathy. They have their goals. One of them is this. Excuse me. Okay. They're doing this in a variety of ways. I'm sure you're aware of a lot of them. I'll show you another one. Here's another one. See that? And they do that in a variety of ways. Oh, they're evil, cunningly evil. Ooh. Yeah. Food plants all of a sudden blowing up. Price of gas, truckers. It's costing them a fortune to get food to us, and they're doing it still, for the most part. I haven't seen very many empty shelves, a few. For the most part, I've not suffered at all when it comes to food. But anyway, and the people above the politicians are even worse. Some of them, their names. BG are the initials of one. You can't say these words, it's so silly. Another one is, well, just in case you're new to this. There's others. They control, just once I mentioned, control some of the more obvious puppets. And they act like puppets. I mean, just think who's in charge right now. But those are even people's names that I should have talked about. Even they have people controlling them. And you won't ever hear about them. They're scrubbed from the net. They have ways of, keeping under the radar. There's various theories about who they are, what kind of species they are, what they can do, can't do, where they came from. Did they come from here? Did they come from somewhere else? I'm going to look into that. Of course, I can't give definitive answers. I can only do research. That's all. And try to talk about it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Please hit the like button and the share and subscribe. It'll help me out a lot. And it'll help get my message out to more people that need help. Have a great day.